Hello there. My name is Michael Vukelic, and today we're doing a very first podcast. I'm actually co-hosting a podcast with
Jeannette Meier.
Miss Jeannette Meier. That's correct. And we are going to talk about the mind, the conscious and unconscious mind, the universal mind. We're going to actually delve into how the mind is different from the brain and how the mind influences every part of your life.
Yes, and how you can start influencing your life.
Absolutely. And we'll even throw a few really great stories in.
Yes, I love them. They were beautiful.
So join us live from Hollywood. Here we are.
Live from the world. Hello, Michael.
How are you?
Very good, and excited to be here today with you.
Yes, absolutely. So am I. I'm very excited to be here. We have a lot to talk about.
Yes.
And we have the rest of our life to talk about it.
Yes.
So anyway, I'm really excited to get the podcast started. And this is our very first podcast. So you sent me some questions, which I'd like to go over. And I mean, we can start anywhere you like. Where would you like to start? What sounds good to you?
I would like to start with what you were going to start to talk about, and then we hit the record button because I think it's very interesting what you were going to say and how you came to with the topic of the mind, how in your life, how you got there.
Yes, absolutely. You sent the questions about mind and what is universal mind and what is the brain, what's the difference. It's a very highly engaging topic for me. I actually started this business after doing a bit of hypnotherapy because I actually smoked for a couple of years. It was a long time ago, but I realized it was horrible for me, and I wanted to see what it was about, right? So I did some hypnotherapy, and I realized how powerful and expansive our mind can be in this world. And it just thrilled me to calm. I've always been this guy where I'm always thinking, always processing, always figuring out my next steps and what I have to do next. And doing hypnotherapy opened up a whole new world to me of what happens when we calm the mind, when we actually release the thought and just allow this brilliance to enter, and then we can reprogram, rewire, disconnect old neural nets. I mean, it's amazing. I've been fascinated by the mind, so I'm really glad you asked those questions.
Yes, I knew we were going to talk about the mind, and those are questions that I am asked sometimes also. And and also people have the curiosity, or don't have the understanding of what the mind really is, or what it is not.
Well, you've had metaphysical training, correct?
Yes.
Your PhD is in metaphysics, isn't
Yes,
it?
I am a PhD in philosophy, conscious-centered living, but I did the bachelor's and the master in metaphysical science. Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Yes. I have about got my master's in the metaphysical world, and I realized, wow, this is a lot of work. But it's great. It's great. I love learning about it. I've done a lot of learning in the past prior to being involved in the metaphysical world, of course.
Yes.
But when we talk about the mind, you asked actually what is the mind, and there's so many ways we can define that. Do you have a specific definition, or what do you think the mind is? I mean, we know what the metaphysical term is, but
Yeah.
what's your take on it? What do you think the mind is?
For me, it depends, no? But what I want to clarify is that the mind is not the brain.
Right. Absolutely.
Yes, because it goes beyond the brain, our physical. No, actually, the mind still is there when we are in coma, when we are not conscious. The mind is still there. No?
Absolutely. Yes. Well, in terms of hypnotherapy, I mean, of course, we
Mm-hmm.
always used the conscious mind and the unconscious mind, which
Yes.
is there are two different, areas of the mind, but the mind itself, I believe, is like the creator, the holder, right, of
Mm-hmm.
our consciousness. It's the
Mm-hmm.
consciousness. It's our awareness. It has so much to do with our life and what's coming into what we see, what we perceive in life, of course. And the brain is the
Yes.
physical pieces and parts that are all wired together through all that we take in. So uh, I believe the mind is like, well, if I was going to be a little more ethereal, I would say the
Mm-hmm.
mind is the illusion maker because it's how we perceive or what we perceive has really been conditioned. It's been conditioned. The mind doesn't really recognize everything that's going on in the world. It sees the parts that it's most familiar with, most conditioned to see, uh, and actually, I think what I've learned over time working with a lot of different people, based on that conditioning, based on that patterning um, from the past, many of the experiences in the present are actually so tied to the past that the mind kind of makes things up. And
Mm-hmm.
so you can't always listen to what's going on in your mind. In fact, it's better if we really learn to stand back
Yes.
and watch our mind sometimes.
Yes. Yes.
What do you think about
The
that?
mind is like a computer
Yeah.
that it's taking all the programs
Hmm.
and projecting outside of us what we have inside in the mind, no, in those systems, in those programs,
Sure.
and limiting well, what what there is outside, that it's much more than what we are deprogramming with the mind, let's say, no?
Yes. Yes, I understand. Sure.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. Um, yeah, and from all the metaphysics and the um, metaphysical science and quantum physics that I've learned about, I mean, the mind is actually has a lot to do with our reality. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And reality is really our possibility. So it's all about possibilities. And it depends how we see it, how we react, and what the mind believes is so important, right?
Yes, it's creating, we can say, the mind is the one that is enabling perception, because perception is what you see outside, no? And it's so important to perceive, to widen your perception, so widen your mind to see
Hmm.
more than what you are programmed to see, no? So yes, the mind is one thing you said, the mind, it's nice to know it's nice to observe what's happening in your mind so that you know what you are actually creating and why.
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. And I've written about this in many different ways, but it's so important to really understand your own mind. It
Yeah.
really is. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and we we also touched on the brain.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, inside the brain, there's many different parts. And using the hypnotherapy model, okay, there's like 5 to 7% of your brain is actually conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And the conscious mind is your short-term memory. It is what judges and analyzes, it's the thinking mind, the thinking brain. Okay. And then there's the
Mm-hmm.
unconscious, which is over 90% of your mind. And it's all about feeling and
Mm-hmm.
emotions and long-term memory. And as you said, that computer bank of all the different events and how the senses engaged in each one of those events
Mm-hmm.
is all housed in the unconscious mind. So
Mm-hmm.
very powerful. This is why, when people visualize or they use vision boards or they use their imagination, they engage the unconscious mind, or you can call it subconscious. I use the word unconscious. I hope that's not confusing for anyone, but it's because it basically is unconscious. It's not a subconscious. So anyway,
Okay. Yeah. And no, I
that's
understand that. It's a nice differentiation what you just said, no?
yeah,
Unconscious, because the subconscious goes below the conscious, let's say, and the unconscious
yes,
is just another
yes,
one, no? It's not dependent on the conscious.
yeah. So it really does amaze me. And the mind actually, the brain actually creates the chemistry, but it's the mind and its thoughts and its perceptions that actually influence the brain, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
then we have the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland. There's many different pieces and parts, okay, involved in this. But there is a neural chemistry that comes from every thought and belief, which causes an emotion, which actually affects our entire body.
Mm-hmm.
So we can actually become addicted to certain ways of feeling over time. And what I like to say is if you can't control your emotions, if
Mm-hmm.
you can't control them, then you're addicted to an emotion there. Does
Mm-hmm.
that make sense?
Yes, yes, yes. Totally.
So it's another addiction, okay? Just like people get addicted to all kinds of things, overeating, drinking, drugs. They're playing on the same neural receptors on the cells as your emotions do. It's the same chemistry affecting every cell in your body. So
Mm-hmm.
it's amazing. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
love learning about the mind. This is a really great subject.
And we have lots to talk about that.
Yes, there's so much more. I mean, you could go on and on and on. How much time do we have? A week? What?
We do, maybe the other ones don't, the listeners, but slowly. But
So,
yes, a question to you, Michael, because there's also this mind that it's the universal mind or
yeah,
the infinite mind, no, that is talked about. So that mind is, we are connected to it, but it's everything is connected to it. Everyone and everything is connected to it, no?
absolutely. Absolutely. We are connected to everything.
Mm-hmm.
All of us, we are connected to everything. Here's an interesting point when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to this subject, right?
Mm-hmm.
The universal mind is all the minds connected. Okay. So, and it's a one universal mind. And some people, refer to God as a universal mind.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's more than that, but that's an
Yeah.
analogy that
Yeah.
we could use. But the universal mind, I mean, when I sit back and I think of someone or I focus on someone or I see an event happening with someone, There have been times where I have just different things pop into my imagination as I calm my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I see someone specific, never seen them before in my life. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so clear and so vivid. And they're driving a specific car, or, something's happening in my life, and there have been times when the very next day, this person, I mean, I'm at a stoplight in my car, and this person pulls up next to me. I'm like,
Wow.
what? It's the
Yes.
same person.
Wow.
It
Mm.
I don't you don't recognize it right away because you're really not expecting that,
Yes,
right?
yes,
You're
yes.
not expecting that at all. Then you look at it, it's like, wait a minute, that's the person I saw in my dream yesterday or last
Incredible, huh?
night. It's
Yeah.
amazing. So I believe the more we free our mind, the
Mm-hmm.
more we open up, as you were referencing, the more we open up. The more power we have. And
Yes.
using the universal mind to connect to that ethereal energy, okay, or this connection that we have to everything, um, using that creates more and more and more power for us. I mean, and I I believe we have to use it very wisely. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. Because
So
wisely, because we have to be careful what we are
yes,
imagining and what we are creating. Yes. Because we have
yes,
so much power that we don't know what we are really capable of
right,
creating.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And this Well, and we're so influenced by all the events of our life, as we said,
Yes.
create all these neural nets in the mind, in the brain. Let
In
me
the
be
brain.
specific. In the brain, they create these neural nets, right? So let's just say the word love. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
For
Mm-hmm.
some
True.
people, love can mean pain. It
Yes.
can be painful. They could have um, something that happened in their past that is painful, but then they have, their kids, or, their mom or their dad or a specific aunt or uncle, and all of this is connected in the neural net. So you have some really great experiences with love, and
Mm-hmm.
you have some that are a little painful. So
Mm-hmm.
all of these connect through these neurons in your brain. And every time that you then perceive love in the future, you're connecting to that entire
Mm.
neural net. So it's hard to be right there in the present without any of that past affecting us. It's
Yes.
that's Isn't that amazing? I mean,
It's
and
incredible. Yeah.
because it's affecting us, we're creating something different than what we really want in that,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes, because we're not able, since it's affecting us and we haven't dealt with what is affecting us, we haven't recognized it.
Right?
When whatever we see in the future, it's connected to our past.
Oh, yes.
And that's
So,
why
and
whatever we
then
create, it's back.
Absolutely. And then you have to realize that every person, even though you're connected to all these people, they
Mm-hmm.
all have their own
Yes.
way of perceiving. So
Yes.
yeah, and this is why, well, we won't get into this today, but reactions are so important.
Yes.
To be becoming still, becoming standing in your strength, your power, so to say,
Mm-hmm.
and not reacting to
Mm-hmm.
different things that could actually trigger something from your past.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So yeah,
It's for us to be standing, like you're saying, centered and responding,
yes,
so that it's not because um, it's not a reaction, a trigger, and you are reacting to it. It's really you're responding because you already have observed from where everything is coming and what you're thinking, what you're feeling, what you're everything, and then you respond. Yes.
so are you familiar with, of course you're familiar, if you've
I
done
don't know.
a PhD in metaphysics. I um The concept of separation,
Mm-hmm.
okay, is
Mm-hmm.
also the mind. The
Mm-hmm.
mind, when it looks out into the world, I mean, most people in the world have no idea that they're connected. They have
Yes.
no idea.
It's a
No
pity,
idea at
but
all.
yeah, they don't.
They look out into the world
Yeah.
and they see all these things,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're not perceiving or not understanding. They don't understand the concept of, hey, I'm really connected to these people. So the mind sees separation between
Yes.
everything. And
Yes.
that all comes from the mind.
Yes.
Um, so that's it, it's a whole world of duality. It's a whole
Mm-hmm.
world of, perception that everything's separate from you.
Yes,
So
because when people don't see this oneness or feel this separation is because they really think that their mind is their brain. I think
mind is the
it's,
brain. Okay.
that it's the same concept because there's nothing else than their physical. So their brain and whatever they see, they're individuals looking outside, no, through their brain, through their
Yep.
mind.
Through
But
their own lens,
yes, through
their
the
own
lens, but
perception. Yes.
yes, but the physical, the ego lens, let's say, no, the
Mhm.
personality, persona lens, that
Right.
is not hasn't experienced yet the fact that we are able to observe our thoughts, no, as our mind as an observer to be able to then respond and not react. But
Right.
when we are able to, when we one day experience this observation, then you are also experiencing the connection with things that you
Absolutely.
have around,
Yes.
people that
Very
you have
nice.
around.
Yes. Great. Great. Yeah.
Mhm.
I love that. That's good. Yeah. That's true. Um, so it fascinates me. It really does. And
Mhm.
and I actually, to take it even one step further, I believe that the mind is it's what creates our karma. Okay.
Mhm.
People talk about karma,
Mhm.
and I believe that we're always evolving, and the
Mhm.
mind can keep us from evolving. I mean,
Mhm.
just from these things that you're speaking of, and the things, the concept of separation, and I need to do this and that and the other thing, and it's I think that we create our own karma, we create our own um, situations through our own thinking, and the chemistry that we produce, the addictions we have, and it's just the way we end up seeing life. So
Yes,
yeah.
it's the experiences we have that have we collect beliefs and patterns and everything you said before, no? So we are
Yes.
seeing from the past. And the
Ab-
thing is to really in this case separate ourselves from the past, from those experiences and being here, no? And seeing the world through the lens of the now with what's happening around.
mhm.
Mhm.
Absolutely. I'm looking here at your other questions too. You had some more
Mhm.
questions, right?
Mhm.
It's really interesting here. Okay. So the what else did you have here? You had universal mind. Do you think we answered that question?
Yes, for the time being. I think there will be much more to talk about it, but for the time being, yes.
Yeah.
Or do you want to add something?
No, no, I think we did. I think we did good. And you had another question here. Am I my mind?
Hmm. Somehow
I
we
think
also
you,
responded to that, no?
yes, yes. I think you did, because some people are very much in their mind
Hmm.
and they identify with the physical. Well, as you said, it's just part of me, it's my brain, it's how
Yeah.
my brain works. And but I want to reiterate what you said, how important it is to understand that your mind is actually connected to everything. So there is a um, a mind that's connected to all minds and universe. It's a universal mind, okay? The universal mind. So that's very important, a distinction to make there. So
Yeah, and one one question pops up here
uh-oh.
for the for the listeners.
Okay.
So, because if I haven't had the experience of this universal mind, or my mind, or the observer listening to my thoughts, no, so to be
Right.
able to respond and not react, how can you and me be helpful to them in in proposing a way, or showing them a way of getting aware of those thoughts, of listening to those thoughts, of well, I think it's just like that. No, it's really stop and see and listen and hear what your mind is saying. No.
Um, well, the first part of anything to engage your mind is you have to have the desire. Okay. You
Mm-hmm.
have to
Yeah.
have the desire to learn. Okay. You have
Yes.
to have a real desire. Okay. Okay. Let's for a second, I'll tell you a little story about my life.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with a lot of things going on in the family. Okay. And
Yeah.
this is why I've created this whole foundation that works with generational wisdom and patterning. And actually, specifically, I work with um, trauma, childhood trauma, okay, and
Mm-hmm.
how it affects you the rest of your life. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
so it's very important that you become aware of what's going on. The first key that I found was different things showing up in my life that really didn't feel good.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? Why is this happening? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so you have to be aware there's something there that you don't care for.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, then I take a step back. I learned to take a step back from it rather than just, you know, the ego is
Mm-hmm.
very much in control if we let it.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So rather than doing the thing that I learned to do when I was in my family, in the family dynamic, was either to shut down and go away
Mm-hmm.
because we don't want the conflict. We don't
Yes.
want to, even if it's not a conflict, we think it might be.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Or react and say something.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So neither one is really healthy.
Yes.
Neither one of these situations is healthy. So to learn to take a step back rather than react or say something right away or go down the old path of your old behavior, stop yourself
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes.
and just, okay, why do I feel this funkiness?
Mm-hmm.
And you can identify the emotion and then identify the thoughts you were having.
Yes.
And that
Mm-hmm.
once you do that one time and you start becoming more conscious of the times when you don't feel very good or something's happening, it's how you feel that makes the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Something's happening that doesn't feel right here. Um, you
Yes.
remember, I mean, there is an old cartoon. This is hilarious. Um, I think it was Elmer Fudd. It was the old Bugs Bunny. It's probably maybe
Ah, no, no, no,
Bugs
yeah, yeah,
Bunny,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yes,
Okay.
yes, yes, yes.
And Elmer Fudd, he used to be out with his, I don't know, like whatever he was doing out in the world. And he'd always say, "It's something screwy around here." That was like the first key when you know something screwy's going on, something doesn't feel right. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
it's time to look at yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So many look at the world and
Yes.
they blame, they project,
Yes.
and ultimately that makes us a victim.
Yes. There's a lot.
Anytime
Yeah.
we start reacting,
Mm-hmm.
we're becoming the victim of what's going on here.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the very so important, so impactful for your life is to understand and be victorious,
Yeah.
over your situation and not be the victim.
Yes.
There's a huge difference there. So do you think that's helpful? That's the first step.
Super. Yes.
Yeah.
No, super helpful. It's one thing. It's again has to do with perception.
Yep.
Don't go into the victimhood. Look at the other side,
Right.
victorious. You're saying so. Perceive the other way around, and you will also start reacting. In this case, responding differently because your perception has changed.
Yes, absolutely. That would be the next step after identifying, hey, this doesn't, there's
Mm-hmm.
something doesn't feel good here.
Yeah.
After you identify that you're having some emotional upheaval, or there's something that you want to react
Mm-hmm.
to.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, when you look at it differently, perception is everything in this
Yes.
world.
Yes.
What the mind perceives. I mean, have you ever heard the story of Christopher Columbus?
Yes.
Yeah, you probably have, right? So did you hear the story about how the natives didn't recognize Christopher Columbus at all when they pulled up in their ships?
Yes, for
They
sure. I
couldn't
guess
even
so.
see them.
No.
They couldn't even see the ships, okay?
Oh, because
Here's a
they
bunch
didn't
of
have it in the mind.
right, right. So
Mm.
this is very important distinction to make here
Mm-hmm.
is when what you don't recognize, what you've never seen before, what you've never processed, the mind doesn't see it. It just skips
Mm-hmm.
right over it. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a very interesting story. I mean, it
Yes,
took the
yes, yes.
shaman, the
Mm-hmm.
man, the spiritual man who was part of the tribe. Was it San Salvador, right? That was the island, I believe. But anyway, he kept looking out onto the water and he saw different ripples
Mm-hmm.
in the ocean. And he wondered, what is this about? Why is that happening there? It's never been there before. And he finally saw the ships.
Yes,
And
because he
it was
focused,
him,
no? Yeah.
right? He kept focusing.
Mm-hmm.
And so his perception changed. And
Mm-hmm.
it was when he saw them, he convinced the members of the tribe that there were indeed ships there. They have never seen anything like that before, right?
Yes,
So I think
yes.
that's a pretty amazing story.
Yes,
We
yes. I
go
love
through our
that.
whole life that way.
Yes.
We don't see what we don't see.
Mm.
And really projecting anything is not part of growth. Uh, you know, Reacting and projecting, we are, as you said, we're perceiving incorrectly and we're
Mm-hmm.
becoming the victim.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yes, yes.
every situation in this life, I mean, this is one huge shift in perception for me, the way I grew up. Um, Everything that happens in this life is it may sound corny,
Mm-hmm.
but it's ultimately for our own good.
Yes,
We're
yes,
we're seeing what we are supposed to see.
yes.
And you know, the highest learning I've learned about well, I can't, there's been so much. Okay. The most impactful for me is to understand that love is what's real.
Mm-hmm.
That's what's real. It's real in the
Yes.
world. Um, if I'm not seeing love in a situation,
Mm-hmm.
in an interaction, in an event, in something going on, if I don't see the love there, if I'm not perceiving, some love there,
Yes.
or being able to send love or compassion to this
Mm-hmm.
person,
Mm-hmm.
who may be in a horrible state,
Yes.
then I am projecting my own pattern or filter or onto that situation.
Mm-hmm.
The
Mm-hmm.
mind is saying, hey, well, I don't like that,
Yes.
whatever it's saying, right?
Yes. Yes.
So really important.
Yes. It's very nice because it's this instead of me projecting outside, no, it's I mean, instead of me being, it's this separation, no, instead of me
Yeah,
being separated and everything has to do with me and it's happening because of others, is in reality is you connecting with others, no, through who you are, you connecting with others and embracing in this relationship through love. So it's completely different. No?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yes. I was just really intently listening to what you were saying there. Yes. Yes. Absolutely. So, um, what else would you like to talk about?
It's very nice. It's very nice. No, it's very nice.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I believe the mind has a lot of different purposes here.
mhm,
And there's another little story. I love to use stories. Okay. So,
Yeah, I guess everyone loves to hear them also. I do.
well, you know, I could tell 1,000 different stories about, my childhood,
Hmm.
but I got very close to my mom. Okay.
Hmm.
I had mom, dad, my sister, me. Okay.
Hmm. Okay.
So, became very close to my mom. And, there were a lot of times when we were really scared at home. I mean, it was
Mm.
scary. It was
Uh-huh.
scary. And, I don't blame, any person in the family.
Hmm.
No, my dad had a lot of reactions, a lot of anger, a lot of pent up, things from his past.
Hmm.
And but that was his conditioning as he grew up.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I got very close to my mom. Okay. My mom was quiet, um, and kind of kept to herself. She was very intelligent. And anyway, she got ill later on in life,
Hmm.
and I spent a lot of time with her
Hmm.
in the hospitals, and she had different surgeries and chemotherapy and all kinds of things. Okay,
Yeah.
this led me to really dive even deeper into generational patterning, how the
Hmm.
mind affects the chemistry in the body, how the mind affects every cell in the body. It just I was so curious about it. Okay, I really wanted to know, how can we break these chains?
Yes.
Why I saw her really suffer. I'm like, wow. And this
Hmm.
was a loving, wonderful woman, kind of
Yeah.
soft spoken, kind of quiet. Okay. Um, but after my mom passed away, we'll just cut to the chase.
Hmm.
After my mom passed away, we were so close, those, especially the last few
That's,
years, as she was going through all this. I'm there in the
yes.
hospital, I'm with her. Um, After she passes away, total silence for several days. And, I'm surrounded by friends and trying to figure out, I was the executor. So you got to do all the
Hmm.
worldly things,
Yes.
right? And make all these decisions and
Yeah.
decide what's happening. And it was a little overwhelming. And what made me very emotional is, of course, you lose your mom, but
Hmm.
the part that really got me, and this really fueled my education,
Hmm.
how can someone so gentle and wonderful and intelligent and, go through all that suffering?
Yeah.
It doesn't add up to me. Okay. Why
Yeah.
would that happen? And it all came down to the things, the thoughts she had, the way she processed life,
Hmm.
instead of healthy expression, there
Yes.
were reactions, there were things she held in, there was resentment, there's a lot of different things that chemistry kept working on her body,
Hmm.
for a long
Hmm.
time. 3 days after she passed away, this beautiful light,
Hmm.
it's broad daylight,
Hmm.
broad daylight, okay? And I'm sitting there with friends,
Hmm.
and I have my eyes open, and I was just in tears over something, whatever, right?
Yeah.
Making some decision, or you know but all of a sudden this beautiful light appears, multicolors. I mean, it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And I'm like, wow, what is this? And when you speak to the universal mind,
Mm-hmm.
this is another way the universal mind works. I knew right away, my there were no words,
Mm-hmm.
but I knew right away it was my mom. I could feel that.
Yes.
Okay. It was like my mom on earth without a filter, without all of her stuff. It
Mm-hmm.
was just
Mm-hmm.
amazingly
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And it just like engulfed my whole body. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, wow. I shouted out, it's my mom. And all my friends were looking around like, what? Um, I was sitting on the couch and, then she started to speak and
Mm-hmm.
she told me, Mike, I'm okay. I could hear her, but it wasn't a voice.
No, no, it comes
And
no.
I'm okay. I'm no longer in pain. Uh,
Mm.
um, she said she just waited. She waited for a response, and I'm like, what?
About the-
I had no idea what to say.
Yeah,
Okay. First
yeah,
experience of this. Okay. I've
yeah,
never experienced this before.
yes.
So, she starts to talk again. I have had my journey.
Mm-hmm.
That was my journey.
Mm-hmm.
And now I want you to live yours.
Mm,
She could
wow.
see that I was all upset about, what was going on with her, what happened.
Yes, yes, yes.
And I still couldn't say anything.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't say anything. This light was there, but I think she was communicating through
Mm-hmm.
my mind.
Mm-hmm.
She was communicating through my mind, which was amazing. And since then, I've looked into this more and more and learned how to use the mind to connect
Mm-hmm.
with my guides and
Mm-hmm.
angels. And it has opened up a whole new world
Mm-hmm.
for me. But she could see that I was a little taken aback. I was a little bit fearful. It's like, I know that's you, Mom, but
But now,
yeah, but I don't know what to say.
yeah, yeah.
But the biggest thing was she was telling me that was
Mm-hmm.
her journey.
Yes.
And now she had moved on. She's no longer in pain. I don't
Mm-hmm.
have to worry about her anymore. She is
Mm-hmm.
okay. And now she wants me to live my life.
Yes. To live.
Live your life, Michael. Yes, don't worry about me. That was my journey. That
Mm-hmm.
was my journey. Now
Yes.
live yours. Okay.
Yes.
And it was such a beautiful thing. It changed the trajectory of my life. And it also opened up how powerful the mind is. We can connect to just about anything.
Mm-hmm.
And since then, as I've opened up more and used the mind to meditate a little more, um, just, quit thinking and feel more. It engages the unconscious mind and beautiful opportunities come into my life. I mean, just from imagining them, feeling them is really
Feeling, yeah.
important, really
Mm-hmm.
important. But I just had to tell you that story because that proved to me in that moment, we don't die.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
We
yes,
don't
we
die.
do. We
The
don't
the
die. Yeah.
spirit is always there.
Mm-hmm.
And she is connected to all kinds of people. And I can tell you later on, she actually
Mm-hmm.
came to me and we had another talk. I mean, and we've had several, and she's still in my life today. She
Mm-hmm.
will zing me when something good is coming or
Uh-huh.
when I'm going down the wrong path. Or, I mean,
Guiding
it's
you.
all gentle, it's beautiful, right? Okay, but
It's
I feel
amazing.
her energy still today.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But her energy changed. It was about 3 months after she had left the
Mm-hmm.
world. Her energy changed. I felt her energy. I knew it was her. I identified with her. Then her energy changed a little bit. And it was when one of my nephews was born.
Ah, yes.
And I got really curious about that. My intuition was telling me, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked Mom, what's going on here? And
Mm-hmm.
she just kind of zinged me a couple of times. I don't. I didn't get a correct answer. So I asked more definite questions. I said, "Is that you?" Yes.
Oh, wow.
Part of her soul
Is there?
is now in my nephew.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the unconscious mind
Mm-hmm.
reincarnates. And
Mm-hmm.
it's all unconscious to my nephew, but I watch him very closely when I'm together. And I see some of the things that my mom had, the things that she didn't heal,
Mm-hmm. They're showing up
her
there.
her sadness, her I
Mm-hmm.
mean, even as a little boy, I see it happening. So I'm very engaged in that. Okay.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it's amazing. So
Yes.
we end up repeating the
Mm-hmm.
same lessons unless we learn them. So
Yes.
the whole journey of this beautiful life is to
Mm-hmm.
learn and evolve and grow and become these
Mm-hmm.
beautiful evolved beings that we know we can be.
And that we are.
It-
Yeah.
yeah, it's not being caught up in all of the
No.
distractions of the world.
No. It's has to do with letting go. Letting go of all, we go to the beginning of all those patterns, beliefs, and all those things that really don't belong to us. It's just
They
letting them go and
don't.
be here, be who
That
you are, be this potential.
that it's you made a statement there that is so powerful. They don't belong to us.
No, they don't belong to us.
We believe they do because that's how we were taught.
Mm-hmm.
Even the old wisdom, which is something I am so passionate about changing in this world.
Mm-hmm.
The old wisdom that we're raised with keeps us
Mm-hmm.
so limited.
Yes.
And the patterns that we pick up from our parents are harmful. I mean, many of
Mm-hmm.
them, some of them are really great. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
don't get me wrong. I mean,
Yes,
um,
yes.
but there are some that are very limiting and very harmful
Mm-hmm.
to the success of our life,
Yes.
to creating the right love, the right joy, the right
Mm-hmm.
experiences, to be able to get out and can you tell I'm passionate about this or what?
The
To be
freedom.
able to get out in the world and do what we're here to do.
Mm-hmm. The freedom, this liberation, the
Yes,
freedom of this freedom to be no attachments.
absolutely.
It's
So
beautiful. Okay.
it is beautiful, and I hope you enjoyed that story. That
I
just
did.
totally it changed everything. It changed
Yes,
everything,
incredible.
and
Yes.
to this day, I'm very connected with my ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
That whole experience connected me with ancestors.
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
reason why I know is
Uh-huh.
they don't show up with that beautiful, amazing, dazzling, brilliant, all these colors, you know, they don't show up that way. But if I'm meditating and I ask a question or I'm looking for a higher ant, but my higher self will give me beautiful. I mean, it's like you're channeling
Yes.
the information, right? But my ancestors, all of a sudden, I see these, nice sized white dots,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and they're when I'm meditating, I can see them, and some are larger than others, and it's like, wow, these are all my ancestors. Like, holy cow, so when you're this connected,
Mm-hmm.
you're I my purpose here, I believe, is to break those generational curses. And I'm here, I call them generational curses,
Mm-hmm.
generational patterns. If you
Yes.
don't want to use that word, that's
Uh,
fine. Patterns, beliefs,
mm.
concepts, perceptions, the
Attachments.
things. Yep. Um, um, and I've heard the stories from some of my ancestors where they gave up on their dream because it took too long. They didn't have the money and they went
Mm.
for another route to make money.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and this is something that's ingrained in me.
Mm-hmm.
This is every generation afterwards carries this
Yes.
because it's all in here. It's all in
Yes.
this unconscious mind.
Yes.
I see it all. It's amazing the life I'm living. I
Mm-hmm.
see this in my little nephew, and I'm like, holy cow,
Incredible.
this is my mother.
it's so helpful to him because you know it and you will see certain things and will help him out whenever he's ready, no? But and wanting.
Yeah. And he doesn't need a lot at a
No,
very young age,
yeah.
just a little different perspective. So I actually work more with his mom because his
Mm-hmm.
mom spends more time with him than I do, right?
Yeah, true.
And that's really important. But
Yes.
once you crack the code, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak,
Mm-hmm.
you crack that code that's been instilled in us generation after generation. The new generation doesn't have to deal with it.
No.
You start removing that.
Yes.
It's so here we are talking about the mind, and the mind is influencing everything. It's
Yes.
like,
Yes.
wow.
And that's why it's so important to be aware of
Yes.
what it is saying and doing and everything. And you not to follow it blindly.
Right.
You
Oh,
to flourish, you to
there
be who you are. Yes.
when you take the first step to start being aware,
Mm-hmm.
something doesn't feel right or something doesn't look good, or, why am I reacting to this?
Mm-hmm.
When it doesn't feel right
Yes.
somehow or another.
Yeah.
When you take that first step, that leads to awareness of a lot of different perceptions and concepts and things that you have. That is what starts us on our evolving journey,
Mm-hmm.
So
In this journey
I
of becoming who
amazing.
you are.
Yes,
Who
absolutely.
you
And
already
and
are.
who are we really?
And that's for our next
Yeah, that's it for
podcast.
today, folks.
Thank you, Michael. Thank you so much because I love to learn from you. I love to hear you. I love to expand and evolve with you. So I
Yes, it's been
appreciate it a
really
lot.
fun. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. And I hope this really helps people. This
Me
is the
too.
reason why I'm doing this.
Yes.
And I can see why, just engaging in this podcast, I can see why my guides, my ancestors are like, would you please get out there and speak more?
Yes.
Just tell the people what they need to see or
Mm-hmm.
what they need to learn, or,
Mm-hmm.
you know, um,
Yes. We are so
show them
powerful.
how to take,
Yeah.
because I was in a horrible place.
Mm-hmm.
Horrible. My life was horrible. I mean, I had
Mm-hmm.
a big time job, lots of money,
Mm-hmm.
and it was just like these things were coming at me. It's like, what is this? Why does this keep
Mm-hmm.
happening to me?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
that's this. I've been through this whole journey.
Yes. Yes.
So I really hope this helps people. I'm going to do whatever I can to get it out there.
Mm-hmm.
And if you know someone who really needs a speaker, I'm there. I'm ready.
Yes. Yes. Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
Anything else you want to add before we sign off?
No, I think I'm very okay. I love it.
Okay.
I'm nurtured, I'm complete and
Until next time.
grounded. Yeah. Until next time. Thank you
Yep.
so much.
Sounds good. Thank you all for listening in. Thank you so
Yes.
much. Yep.
Thank
I'm
you.
Michael Vukelic, and this
And
is Jeannette. Jeannette
meier.
Meyer. Yes.
Always here. I love it.
Yeah.
For many more.